can get going.
Hello everyone, this is Saravanan here. So I'll briefly 5 minute introduction of myself. I am based in Chennai. I completed my engineering in triple year in Chennai in a self-running college, Bharat Engineering College. Um, so it was in the year 92, 96. So in the year 96 was the year I passed out. Right after that, I joined a servicing company called Arasan Chip Systems. That was my first company where my first job was like software design on a VSL compiler. You know the VSL language, right? So this was software tool to compile and simulate the language. That was my first job. That was for around 2 years. Then moved to Chennai, work with joined a company called Shuttle Technology, right in UOMR. That was mostly on on the connectivity technology like USB, ATA, SPI, the connectivity interfaces, both for hardware and the mobile serial interfaces. From that was for around 3 years. From that after that I moved to US for a couple of years as a consultant job on H1B. That was on 2 years. And from there I moved to Bangalore to join a consulting service company called Spike. The same company was already also there. So that was the job. It was again services, and that was the company which was acquired by Qualcomm. Right after that, for 12 years, I was Qualcomm. During the same time when Hari was there, and moved to Chennai after marriage, and it was in the year 2012, and started working in Atmal right here in Chennai. So working on various projects as project manager. It was during that course that I had unfortunate incident. I had paralysis attack, the CV attack. I had stroke, and like even now I am under recovery stage. I had stroke, and I have to switch jobs, and it was at that point of time I took a break. Even now I am in recovery phase. So this time, like I want to contribute to the students. That's why I joined this service with Hari. So from now on, I will be trying to do my best with my experience and knowledge that I have to share it and see how best I can share it and with you guys. So that is my brief. Is there any questions like any of you have on my profile? It is mostly with software plus hardware and on SASIC, SNK, SVGA, and mostly on the VLSI side. Is there any questions on my profile from any of you guys? How many of you are there? I think only two, right? Maybe around four.
There are
They
four,
not
five
logged in.
people. I think, yeah, we have Yogesh. Yogesh has joined us from Hong Kong. He is joining his first year engineering electronics. Right, and then who else we have? We have Vishnu, right? Vishnu, are there?
Yes, sir. Hello, sir.
We have Vishnu, and then we have
Yeah.
Bhuvanesh, we have Balaji, and we have Ishwar with me. Right? So yeah, so
So
there are
who are all
guys.
these? Who are all from Chennai?
Except Yogesh, everyone is from Chennai.
And everybody is from Veltech, is it?
Now today we have folks only from Venkateshwara here, and we have guys from Wales, and we have people from Kanchi University in Enathur, basically. Okay.
So either it's the Kanji University. They are logging in from where?
No, they are all in their hometown, respectively. Now, like nobody is in Chennai, right? People on the respective hometown, they log in from wherever they are. Okay. Yeah, so let's get going, sir. I think we'll be late. I think so. We're not in down time.
Yeah, we'll get going. Yeah.
So we'll get going, right? So team. So we are going to talk about Verilog for design today, right? So we spoke a lot of design, but we learned some of the Verilog. But so we want to use Verilog to design. Like how do we do that, right? Why my slide is not moving? Okay. So we are going to talk. So the code for is very simple. So if you don't love it, you are going to fail. That's the message, right? So you better whatever you are doing, you start loving it, right? So then you'll definitely succeed. Otherwise, no, it's not going to work. So don't do anything for the namesake. So it's what Steve Jobs says. You put your 100% complete into that. Whatever you do, it's engineering or your housework, your hobbies or whatever, right? You love it and you put your best and you'll be successful. So that's what at least I understand from what he says here. Okay. So it's very important to do. Like I was talking to some of the students today offline, right? So I've been telling the same thing, right? And if you think you are in the wrong place, you don't like it, yeah, please let me. It's okay to discontinue if you don't like it. Rather than after 1 year, realize, oh, I did waste my time. So don't. So feel free to talk to me in person if you think you don't enjoy this or whatever. It's okay, right? So because everyone has their own perceptions. So I would assume because you're all continuing for a few weeks with us, so I would think you are all liking it, you are loving it. That's why you are here, right? So let me know if that is not true. Please feel free to talk to me offline. I'll make sure that I'll help you to whatever you love. I'll make sure that you'll make a career in that, right? So always keep that in mind. Okay, our favorite quiz. It's slightly different today. So we are going to talk about cricket. So I see some smiling faces. So which country plays at home at St. Lawrence Ground? It's about the UK, the England. They have the county cricket, right? It's Glamorgan, Yorkshire, Warwickshire, or Kent. So which is the county which plays? It's called St. Lawrence Ground. So which belongs to which county? Your countdown starts from 10. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Vishwa says Kent. Vishnu, do you know?
No, sir.
Any guesses? Okay, answer is Kent. Well done. Did you guess it, Ishwar?
No, not guess. I knew it.
Wow. Okay. Very good. Where did you learn?
I just came across it. That's all.
Excellent. Very good. Okay. Next one. Who among the following the highest wicket taken all forms of cricket? Ishwar, you keep quiet. Vishnu, you keep quiet. Let's give a chance to Bhuvanesh and Balaji. And Yogesh. Probably Yogesh knows. I don't know if Yogesh follows cricket.
I don't.
Okay. Sorry about it. Yeah, I'll find another. So what sport you follow, Yogesh?
Sport. I don't think I follow any sports.
You don't follow any sports? Okay.
Yeah.
Good for you. Okay. Okay. Let me find. Let me switch to some other topic. Let me not use, because mostly at least in India, like cricket is a popular sport. Cricket or movies. I'll make sure I'll use something else. I'll not use cricket again, because everyone should be liking it. It'll be boring otherwise. Okay. So Balaji or Bhuvanesh, you want to take a look at it? Who's the highest wicket taker in all formats of cricket?
Muralidharan.
Yes, that's right. Okay. So how much did Sunil Gavaskar score for India in the first World Cup match he played against England in 1975? It's a world record. You should know.
I know it.
Okay. So others,
It's a very infamous record.
Vishnu, you must be knowing, right? Vishnu?
No, sir.
You don't
No,
know?
sir.
Okay. Okay, anyone else, let's Ishwar wait for a minute. Let's ask others. No answers. Okay, Ishwar, you get to go.
36 or 174 balls. Very infamous innings.
Wow, excellent. Ishwar, you remember the statistics. He scored
Very
174 balls.
infamous at that time.
Yeah,
Ultra defensive.
right. I think he was angry at something, that's why he did that actually, right?
Maybe it's some decision or whatever.
Yeah, he was angry with somebody's decision. I don't know what. He was upset with somebody and that. But it's his way of showing protest. Right. Okay. Last question. Who was the captain of Indian team during the first World Cup in England in 1975? Is it Venkat Raghavan, S.B. Ali, Sunil Gavaskar, or Gundappa Vishwanath? Who was the captain? Wait, let's give chance to others. Anyone on the line? Ishwar seems to be knowing answer. Anyone on the bridge? Vishnu?
No, sir.
Okay. Yeah, Ishwar, you go.
It's Srinivas Venkatraman.
Yes, that's right. It's Venkat Raghavan. I think you all would have heard about him, right? He's still alive in Chennai. You got to go and meet with him. Yeah, I'll take an appointment if you have to go and meet with him.
This man also umpired at Lords.
Yes, he was a very famous umpire and very polite gentleman, right? So if you want to meet, let's try if you can get to reach me. I don't know if he encourages meet people or not. He's very gentleman, very nice guy. Is it that's what I hope. Okay, let's get going. See, so this is a course outline we had. So I want to touch a little bit, right? So this is for the advanced digital design. There are 5 topics, or more topics also. I don't know. So CMOX basically we already covered. We are in this part, digital design division. We are doing that, right? I'll dive deep more on this next slide. We are going to talk about the microcontroller introductions. I've not decided which microcontroller. Probably we'll do a Cortex A5 or a simple Cortex M3 kind of microcontroller, or some other controller we can compare with this typical 8051 controller if I get a chance. So timing diagram, I think you guys have seen, but some more part of timing diagram we'll cover in the later. You all know how to draw timing diagrams, right? We explained using a tool, and manually also we have seen how to draw timing diagrams. We'll see more details in the coming classes. Memories, we'll be covering in the coming weeks. We'll talk about the memories. Okay. So that's the core outline. And this is expectations what we had. I want to revise because I'm not quite happy with either the response I get or whatever expect I have set, right? So I told timeliness. So things are not happening as per the time. Assignments I'm not getting. I see only from 1Z, 2Z assignments. Right? I don't want to call names here, but only 1 or 2 people send assignments on time. I'm going to start tracking very soon. Now that I have Saravanan to help me, I'll have time to spend on making a proper scorecard kind of for you people, so you know where you stand just others. Right? It's extremely important to know where you stand. Right? It's not for comparison, but you should know where you stand and where you have to go. So the timeliness will be another factor. I'm going to take it seriously, but we are not at there. I told you you have to be on time to the class. We're not coming, so let me know. And still you're not coming, you'll get some assignments. I told, right? I told example for assignments. Don't clean the toilet at home, clean the road, food at home, tell a joke, come and dance, come and sing. So we'll have some assignments like that, right? So we'll start implementing in a couple of weeks very soon about it. Don't skip classes. Take your own notes. I tell. I don't see people are taking notes. I'm going to set up something called a Google Classroom. You must be knowing. So I'm going to set it more structurally, systematically. So using the notes and taking notes, tracking assignments, everything become very easier. So people cannot bluff. I submitted, I did that. Also, I'll find a more formal way of doing the thing using Google Classroom very soon. This week or next week, you will see that in practice. So all your notes, everything will go in an appropriate place, so it will be visible. Right? No follow up me, I told. Yeah, so I'm not following up with any of you, but so I think yeah, you guys need to know your responsibilities, right? Put your best effort. I know your colleges have started. Your 5th semester classes or 7th semester classes are going on. So that is your first priority. Remember, always the class work is your first priority, and this comes after that, right? Nobody will you will not get a job if you flunk in college and you do excellent in this course. No, that's not the required. I told in the beginning, you should do well your academics, and this is second to that, right? So keep that in mind. Ask questions. I think you guys ask questions, but it is not enough. So you have to ask questions. That's only one way you learn. If some of you ask questions private with me, it's okay. I welcome it. So in class you can ask. It's very informal, right? So that's why I call you people by names and see if you have any questions. Many times you have observed. So it's very interactive. So if some people will be shy, either because of language or whatever the other fear factor, so feel free to ping me in the WhatsApp. Let's say you would like to talk to me for a few minutes on that day, and definitely I'll call you back on the same day. And if I'm very busy on the day, definitely on the next day, I'll guarantee that I'll call you back in 24 hours. Okay, I'm committed. So I do anything serious. Whatever I commit, I do it very seriously, right? So you have to ask questions. And I told you how to ask questions, right? So how do you ask questions? How do you ask questions? How do you frame questions?
When what?
Yes. When, what, why, how, where, right? It's very easy to ask questions. And I told you there are 2 cases where people will not ask questions. You know that? The very first class I told. Either you understand everything thoroughly or you don't understand anything. Right? You don't understand anything is possible, and you understood everything is very rare. Only genius. I think even I done class, I'll not understand everything. Right? And even to ask questions, you should understand something. That's why if you don't follow anything, you will not ask questions. You should understand something to ask questions, right? So I hope you understand something in my classes. So if that is true, you should ask questions. Right? And you should be very creative. So I reinforce on that. Be very creative. And if you don't know what is creativity, let me know. We'll talk about it in other classes. So digital logic design should be thorough. I think we have covered most of the logic design principles. You should be very thorough in that. So do all the assignments already given, so you thorough, right? Self-belief is very important, right? So probably we'll have some classes on how to build up the self-belief. The positive attitude. I think we're going to have some classes on positive attitude. I have a friend of mine, like, I've been talking to him. He'll come and talk to us when time permits about the positive attitude. Okay, extremely important. Practice labs. You need to follow. What you learn here is 3 hours a week. It's not even fourth hour is just a your regular motivation, regular classes, right? It's not technical, right? So there is also that's all required skills, but it's not engineering, right? It's not engineering if you may call. So 3 hours, what you put at least more time. At least 2 hours more you should put to practice your labs and everything. So you should organize your time because everyone has only 24 hours, and I assume minimum you have to sleep for 8 to 9 hours in that day, right? You get only about 15 hours, and out of that you have to sleep, you have to chat with friends, you have to play games. All you assume 2 hours gone for that, right? So that gives you 13 hours, and you have classes 6 hours or whatever, right? 6 hours goes. You have remaining 7 hours. Right, so that 7 hours you spend on what activity you like. You have your hobbies. You have to spend time. You allocate time for your hobbies. Talking to the family and friends, you allocate time, and allocate time for this also. Every day, half an hour to 1 hour, you should spend on. So if you want to make a career out of it, you should be serious. You should spend 30 minutes to 1 hour every day minimum. Right, so that will you make progress. And if you cannot spend that much time, minimum 30 minutes a day, apart from attending classes, to revise and to to prepare for labs, you try more varieties. It's going to be very difficult because I'm going to give more focus on the labs in the coming weeks. I'll probably, if I have time in the end of the day, remind me to talk about FPGAs. I've been talking to one of quite interesting things, but challenging things. So unless you all 10 of you should be in the same speed, it's hard, right? My goal is to take all 10 of you together. So I don't want somebody winning the race and somebody losing the race. That should not happen here. All 10 should go in the same speed, right? That's not happening today, but September onwards, I make sure that it will happen that way, right? So I may call for some extra classes for if you think something is lagging. So I may call for classes. And your microprocessor, you should be very strong. Microprocessor basic, you should be strong. Okay. And I'll add more. I told you, right? There are 3 more bars. I'll keep adding more. Okay, so you said July to June, 1 year course, and maybe second year for projects. So what we have done, right? We said 4 hours a week. In due course, we said I think we are doing exactly 4 hours per week today. 3 hours plus 1 hour, generic lecture, right? Or generic session, not lecture. So advanced digital design we are going through. Verilog for design. System we'll start system. We're starting for Verilog for design today, starting now. And I have been talking to people to work on verification. I'll myself be doing the class. You'll see within 2 weeks, you'll see one expert coming and talking to you on verification concepts, right? We also spoke about a webinar from September 15th. So all of you will be attending that, and please make sure to allocate time for that, right? And Yogesh may be exception, so you may not be able to attend because we're saying minimum 3rd year. If you think you must attend, you please talk to me in private, so we'll discuss on that, okay? We can always make exceptions, but yeah, let's understand if it is very beneficial to you, let me know. I can work it out. So FPGA implementation, I have big plans on FPGA implementation. A lot of things we are going to do. S4 implementation, we have big plans. So the quite different thing we are going to do it. And the focus is on labs, projects, and everything, right? So I think you have a lot of labs. I've been giving a lot of labs. I think I'm going to control the number of labs today and this week. You have enough assumptions, like assignments and seminars. So you should be focusing on that, right? A lot of projects. You did some project, right? You did the 2 movement chase. That's like a project you guys did, right? And I've given one more project for you, the seminar. By end of this month, you have to present something, right? So the two, that's all mini projects basically, right? And labs, obviously. And this is what will be the entire year, right? It's just a revision. And in advanced digital design, I think we did all these things. Let me know if you're not done anything, right? CMOS working principal applications, logic circuits, references, we've done that, right? And we've done all these things. Logic gates, latch flip-flop, combo elements, half adder, full adder, max encoder, register counter, shifters, FSMs. Up to this, we have done everything. Timing diagram, we have done half. So some more of timing diagram will follow soon. Memories will start this week. We can finish this talk quickly. So I'm going to increase my pace a little bit. Right. So if you think it is going to be fast, let me know. Fast means not in the way I speak, but in terms of content, it's going to be a little bit more. Yeah. Otherwise, there are so much things to cover, right? So, but if you're uncomfortable, let me know. I'll kind of tone down, right? Either in my way of speaking or in the content, it's more. So let me know. So we can maybe add additional class once in a while and cover up for that. Okay. Clocks, resets. We're going to talk about very detailed how the clocks and resets are handled in FPGA, how the clocks and resets are handled in the typical SOCs. Right. So we are talking between. By the way, there's one more gentleman agreed to take classes. You guys are really fortunate. I don't know why it is happening. I'm really proud of you guys. One guy is working in US, a company called Synopsys. I think you should have heard the name, right? So that's one of the famous EDA company, and he is coming at least once in a week, 1 hour per week. He'll come and spend take classes. It happen on weekend, so we'll have to adjust our timing to suit his timing. So he may ask you to come early in the morning or a little bit late in the night. Right? Late in the night, I know Yogesh, you cannot make it. So we'll have to have start early in the morning, maybe 8 a.m. kind of a thing sometimes for the weekend. Okay. One day in a week, so 8 a.m. or 9, based on his convenience. I don't know what is his convenience. Let him define his convenience. So we'll have to adjust our timing, right? So somebody in US is coming to take classes to you. So you are very fortunate. He's a director of the R&D division in a company called Synopsys. It's one of the big shot, right? He's going to come and talk to you on FIFO design and synchronization and clock domain crossing and timing parameters and etc. That's 7, 8, and 9 he'll be covering. On probably 6 also he'll be covering, right? So 6, 7, 8, 9 could be covering, and Saravanan some of the topics, right? So I'm trying to get in more people so I get to plan. I had to work on other things also, right? Verification. I had to plan ahead. I'm doing it all like ad hoc. Every day I prepare in the morning and come to take classes. So I don't want to that way. Right? I'll give a timetable kind of thing. What you'll learn in that month. So everything you'll know in details, right? So we're going to do slightly different. I'm going to work on your grade cards, score cards, and everything. Right? So it's going to be very different, right? So you're get at least 2 more guys coming and joining, and more guys will come as a guest lectures, technical guest lectures. You'll start very soon, right? It's going to be very interesting, right? And to top it all of things, you're getting it free. You're not paying any money, right, for that. Because if you want to make sure we reach to the people, I told you are about brand ambassadors, right? When you finish the 1 year, you go out and you should talk for like what you learn. Right? I'll not be talking in the media. You should be going on and talking, and telling your friends that I learned something, right? So that's what I would expect, right? And if you think it is shit, go and tell this guy is a shitty guy. I don't mind, right? But be truthful to everybody, right? Okay, so there is a reference. I have added this book in our Google Drive. So feel free. I'll send the slides. So click on this book. This is called Samir Palnitkar. This is a textbook for Verilog HDL. It's a very famous textbook. You can go to Amazon or any other store. You can order a paperback copy if you're interested to keep a book. Should charge. What does it cost? 200 to 300 rupees. Definitely not more than that for the paperback. Don't go for hardbound and all. Paperback should cost you not more than 300 rupees. So it's worth buying it. But if you are okay to use a e-book, so please download this book on your laptops or mobile and start using it. Okay. And so I'll not be teaching the entire Verilog completely. I told you, right? I'm going to show you examples and let you code, right? So you need some reference. So use this book. I'm going to refer this book more often from now onwards and pick up from this book directly and teach in the class. I think we all use that book when we learned Verilog, and it's a fantastic book. Right? Saravanan, do you agree, right? It's one of the famous author, correct?
Yeah, right. So I'm okay with it.
Yeah, so we'll use this book, and there are more books, so I don't want to confuse. Just use one book, enough. There are hundreds of books in the market, so let's follow one. You finish this book, and if you want more reference, you go and refer other books. Otherwise, don't refer. Okay, back to our technical stuff. What's the time? Quick time check. Oh, we're half an hour. Okay. So what is assigned statements? You know, right? What is assigned? You know, you all understand this. What is assigned, right? Have you familiar about assign? In our Verilog code, you have learned unit test benches. That's how we generate the clocks and everything, right? Mux also like that. So assign is one construct. So you write out the output variables or signal, not a variable, so signal. A and B or with C. You know what is it? Right? You're handing two signals. So it's or with one particular signal. This exactly is what. So this is what exactly you will get, right? Logically equivalent. Synthesize it. And if A and B, C are 1, 0, it's a 2-bit, this 1-bit signal, this 2-bit signal, you're going to get like this. Now, obviously, you put A 1 down to 0. I'm not showing that here, the Verilog code. It's only a presentation. It will be out 1:0 equal to A 1:0 and B 1:0 or with C 1:0. Right? And then if you do that, you're getting a structure like this. See, right? It's very easy. You don't have to write twice. You write only one statement, you get two sets of gates. Right? Is it okay? Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. So the same way, right? Yeah, this is how you code for a 8-bit full adder. Right? This comes inside a always block, so I'm not showing it here, right? I'm showing only a piece of code. There will be a always begin end here. Always add scene one or all blah 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 everything will be, right? So C equal to Cn, right? And for I equal to 0 to 8 or 7. So I'll talk about this a little bit in a minute. What is this, right? This box I'll talk about it. There's something on the left hand side, right hand side, right? Right. Let's follow right hand side. A of I plus B of I plus C. So first time this is 0, A of 0 plus B of 0 plus C. Right? It is a ripple adder, right? And this you get C comma sum of 0. Right? And then C underscore out, C underscore. C underscore out equal to C. Just carry out, carry in and carry out, right? Right. So let's go over this. This is a for loop. It's very similar to C. Since all of you know C, I'm not going to talk about it, right? So this is the first time you are seeing this particular construct. It's basically execute this statement 8 times. This is 7 here. Right? 8 times will execute. Right? This is called concatenation. What do you mean with concatenation in English?
You add something.
Okay. Any other interpretation? What do you mean? Give me a real-time example for concatenation. Non-engineering in day-to-day life. What do you mean by concatenation? Give me some example. Where would you use that word? What is that? Yogesh, do you know what is concatenation in example? Anyone else? Balaji, want to give an example for in real life?
Something leading to something else.
What's that? Give me an example. Use the word concatenate to form a sentence. Like English class.
Something leading to something else.
Okay.
I can't think of any real life example.
Yeah, fine. Okay, let's leave it. Let's leave it there. Like, let's leave it at that. Okay. So it's basically you're combining two signals and forming a single signal. Then we put to say it that way, right? There are two signals. One signal is called C, another signal is some I. So you're combining that and creating a new signal. Whatever the new name, we don't care. I'm saying the C is MSB of the signal. You know what is the most significant bit and least significant bit, right? If you 7 down to 0 here, the 7 is the most significant bit. I think I told you in the class. It's called MSB, not MSD. MSD is MS Dhoni. We're not talking about that, right? MSB, most significant bit and least significant bit is LSB. So the 0 will be LSB and 7 is MSB, right? So in this case, the C is the most significant bit and some I, this is the least significant bit, right? You're creating a 2-bit variable because you add 2 1-bit, what will happen, right? You're adding 3 1-bits. Right, take an example, 1, 1, 1, 1. What will happen? You add 3, maximum, worst case. 1 plus 1 plus 1 in binary, what will happen?
1, 1.
1, 1, right? 1, 1. So that means you need a 2-bit, right? So because you get a carry, right? So that's what you are doing exactly. You will carry plus this sum. Correct? You add 3 ones, you'll get a 1, 0, right? 1, 1. So if you write like this, carry will go to carry place and sum will place. Very simple, right? And I think I had a diagram here. Probably I missed it. I don't know. Yeah. So that's like you have to remember. So 2 operators you are learning today. One is a concatenation operator. It can come in the left side, right side, but you want to combine 2 signals, create a new signal. You can use it this way. Flower brackets, you have to use it. That's the syntax, right? And for loop, you all know that's what you're using it, right? And for loops is synthesizable if your code is in the right way, right? So I'm going to talk, and I want any construct is introduced today onwards, right? You all know what is synthesis, right? What is synthesis? Balaji, what is synthesis? Balaji or Bhuvanesh?
The process, sir.
What process?
Converting one form to another.
Very good. So let's be precise. What form to what form? Ishwar, do you know? Vishnu, you know? Anyone else in the class? Anyone else in the class knows? Okay. So it's basically right. So it's taking the RTL code. You all know what is RTL, right? What is RTL? No, don't full form. I don't know. What is RTL?
The coding on the right side.
Yes, very good. Coding on the right side, that's what I expected. No, but you cannot tell that in an interview, coding on the right side, actually, right? You visualize that in your EDA playground, on the right side is your design, left side is your verification, right? So that's your design is RTL, right? And you have to write your code in a certain way. I told you have to imagine the hardware when you write the design, right? You have to always, that's why you say you have a block diagram, you have a timing diagram for all the cases, you draw a state machine, and then only you write the RTL code, I told you, right? So you should always keep, I told you, I hate people when they say programming. This is not a program. You use a program to design the hardware, right? You say it's a hardware. It has a lot of hardware structures. I'll go to explain that in the coming days, right? So don't say it's a programming, right? You'll be, I'll not select, somebody says,
Yes, sir.
when I interview some people, they say programming, for sure I'm going to reject them, all right? So never ever use the word. C is a programming, but Verilog is not programming, okay? It's a design language, hardware description language or design language, right? So you have to write the code in certain way to convert that to the gate format. The process convert your Verilog code into the gate. You all know what is a gate, right? So this is an example, right? If you write a Verilog code like this and synthesize it, you'll exactly get the structure automatically. This is a very simple example, but nobody will use a Verilog to, you can write it manually, right? You know, you'll not use the more complex code, your counter, for example, right? How you design counter? You write a truth table, you write an excitation table, you write Carnot map. Very boring. Want to do that, right? But you need to do that. Interviewer may ask you that question. You should remember that, right? Don't forget the basics. But it takes 2 minutes to write a Verilog counter, and then it'll take another 2 minutes to synthesize and generate a design for you. So in 4 minutes, you'll have a gate level design. But in 4 minutes, can you design a counter manually? No. And even if you design, you do so many mistakes there, right? So that's why, right? So that is just, you never forget. Now synthesis, be specific. It takes the Verilog code, RTL code in certain format and converts that into the gate level design, right? Please don't forget it. And I'll definitely get upset if you forget it now onwards. Right? Having spent so many classes, yeah, please don't forget such basic things. Right? So that's the basically synthesis. Right? I'll definitely like upset. I'll start yelling at people also. Don't tell me next time. Okay? So at least remember it now, right? So the Verilog has a lot of constructs. Only certain things you can use it if you want to convert it, which is very obvious, right? Because you want to convert the hardware. You cannot write anything and then expect a hardware out of it, right? Because synthesis also is like a tool, no? So it has some limitations, and more than limitation, you cannot release the hardware. That's it, right? So your for loops are synthesizable if you code it the correct way, right? You cannot put a very funky for loop and expect to be synthesized. It has to be close to the hardware, then it definitely will synthesize. Questions, guys? Okay, move on. How to infer mux and latch? I think we have done it before, right? I told you, but I'll show you there are different ways to write a mux. So mux can be written in different ways, and some of you have multiple names, right? I'm sure you have nicknames in the home or in the college. Your friends call you by some particular name, Timmy, Jimmy, whatever. Actually, right? Even if you have nicknames in the college you want to share, let me know. Sunday you give nicknames. You do, right? Any lecturers? No? You give nicknames to your lecturers. When you were in colleges, we used to do that.
Not like that, sir. I have two names, sir.
Yeah.
In college, official name is Shankar Narayanan, but in my home they will call me as Abhishek.
Okay.
Not like a nickname. It's some name.
The college, not to lecturers.
Yeah, okay, but you'll have give some nicknames to other people, right?
Maybe their name's too difficult to pronounce.
Yes, you'll say somebody is very fat, you'll say Fatso or Gundu, something, right? You'll have some nickname that way, right? Somebody is thin, somebody call him some name, whatever actually. And people do develop some name based on their habits or whatever actually, right? We in our class, probably the guy will not see this video, hopefully let me tell. One guy we call him 512. So we have so many Mahesh in the class, there are 5 to 6 Mahesh, right? How do you differentiate people, right? So one guy was called 512 Mahesh. Right? The reason being that one day he said, at 512 I want to leave the college, I want to be at home, something he said. So that became his name. So we call 512 Mahesh. Definitely, but maybe you don't know him. Yeah. So he's called 512 Mahesh. And there are a couple of Satish. One Satish is called Professor Satish, for whatever way, right? And one of the one Mahesh is called Library Mahesh. So he used to be in the library always. So he used to call him library, right? So he used to have like names. Right? One case was Suresh is called Steel Suresh, because steel body kind of, he's a well-built body. We call him Steel, right? So they write fun names, right? One guy was called Poker. I think the Arun which came and spoke to you about the CEO guy, right? He was called Poker, if I'm not mistaken, right? Right. I was given a nickname. I forgot. I think I need to recollect. Maybe I think I kind of documented it also sometime. Who all had what nickname somewhere? I had to go and trace it. Right? It was real fun in the college days. Actually. Okay. Anyway, right. So let's look at this example. Okay. Let's focus here. Right. What happened here? All my code got erased. No, I think it's there here. Okay. I think there are 3 ways of coding the mux. I forget about all these things. You all know all these things. I'm not going to cover. Look at this. Are you familiar with this statement? I think I taught you this, right? What does it mean? If select 0 is 1, it will take a value of A, otherwise it will take a value of B. Correct? Agree? Right? So this, what is this? This is a mux. This is assign statement and this is a mux. And you cannot write this statement inside always block. Right? You have to remember, right? So I think don't for technical names, I will talk about that later in the coming week. Right? So this has to be assigned statement comes outside the initial block or always block. Right? And these are all called procedural blocks, basically. Initial and always. Procedural statement, right? That's how it's called technically in Verilog. Right? So assigned statement you cannot write inside the always or initial block. You'll give a syntax error. So you have to remember that, right? That's how the language. Don't ask me why. I don't know. That's how it is, right? You have to accept. Why there are certain words in your vocabulary. Can you tell why English is written that way? We have no idea. You have to accept, right? That way. Why there are only 26 alphabets in English, but Tamil has 54 or Hindi has so many, right? Why? No, we don't know. We have to accept it. So that's how the language has been constructed, right? So this is a marks. I think you all know about it. This is one way of coding marks. And somebody doesn't know how to write it, just let me know. I'll explain again. And this always block and this one way of coding marks is another way, right? So if cell 1, C goes to Z, otherwise D goes to Z, right? It's very similar to this. This is also going to get a mux for you, okay? And this also is going to create a mux. Case statement, I think I showed you the FSM example, right? If cell 1, right? If it is cell 1 is 0, it's going to take the D value. The same example I'm writing in different ways. See here, right? Cell 1 is 0, the D goes to Z. See here, the cell 1 is 0, the D goes to out. The variable is different. Cell 1 is 1, the C goes to out. That's all, right? Right. So there are 3 ways of coding bugs. Yeah.
Sir, in that if statement, cell 1 is equal to 0. That equal to 0 is not necessary to mention, sir? Not
necessarily. If you leave like that, it means the cell 1 equal to 1. Okay. If cell 1 is true, then it's going to execute C, otherwise it's going to execute D. You can put equal 1, you can put it to be explicit. Always you can do cell 1 equal to 1 or equal 0, whatever one you can put it. Right? If you leave it also, it's fine. It will take when cell 1 becomes true, it will be entering this. That is simple.
Okay.
Even if cell 1 equal 0, means it's going to evaluate the expression, right? Cell 1 equal 0, that's expression. When the expression becomes true, it will enter here. That means cell 1 becomes 0, C will go to Z, right?
Okay, sir.
Yeah, and I'll not execute this. It's very simple example. I'll not show you in simulation. You can run it yourself. Okay, it's pretty straightforward. You have done more complex jobs or labs. Latch. So what is the latch? Give me 2 examples. I gave 2 examples for latch. I told even in the midnight, if you wake up, it should tell me, right? What is latch? What are the 2 examples I gave for latches?
One is that this thing crossroad when the train is passing.
Not crossroads. What is that?
Whatever the name is.
Level crossing.
Level crossing.
Yeah. Why is it called level crossing? Why did
if the gate opens, everything goes.
Yeah.
If it's closed, nothing goes.
Nothing goes. What happens in the latch then? It is closed for latch. It remembers the previous value, like how car stops at the same time, right? The gate opens, you let through the traffic. The input goes to the output. So what is the other example? What the other example I told you? Not Ishwar, somebody else. Yogesh, do you remember what is the other example I gave the last class? What did he tell about latches? I gave one real life example, right? is it okay to use latch in the design or not? For that, I told you can use it, but at certain restrictions, right? So what is the example I gave for that? Anyone else?
Sir, it is like a necessary evil, sir. Medicine, you compared it to a medicine.
Yes, very good. So you don't take medicine every day, but you take when it is needed. So latch, you have to use it when it is needed. For performance timing reasons, performance reasons, you have to use latch, and you must know that you are using latch. Otherwise, you cannot. In the mux, right? If you miss the L statement, it will infer a latch. I think I have told you already. If you don't write all the L statements or you miss some of the case statements, it will infer a latch. So we'll talk about it in detail in the coming slides, right? So by just by accident, you could be inferring a latch, even though you don't want it, right? But you should never do that because that's very harmful. So you should know when you want latch and then use it, right? And this what is a latch? This is a D latch, the enable D, and this is how you construct it, right? Let's go to the example and see. Okay, let's see here, latch. So it's very simple, right? There is no else. If cell 1, C equal to Z. So you'll get a latch, right? Let me run this example, it may be interesting. I think I did something very specific here when I went to the lab. What is the wave? Yes, I got it. See here, what happens? What is the code? Let's understand the code. Cell 1 is 1. Cell 1 is 1, then C goes to output. Otherwise nothing, right? Retain the previous value, right? Remember this condition, don't forget. Let's come back. So anywhere is enable here, cell 1, right? Cell 1 is 0. So what should happen as per the code? Cell 1 is 0, it's not defined. Undefined, yeah. So it's undefined. See here the Z, right? I define some signal called Y, but I'm not generating it. Do you see a Z here? Z or Z? I call it Z. So it's Z you call in India, but Americans call Z. So probably I always call Z because I'm working with the Americans, right? A Z, what do you call it, right? So it is floating. Z means a floating, right? What is the tri-state? I'll try and explain what is the tri-state. I don't think you could have read that in the college, right? I'll try and explain what is the tri-state with examples one of the days, right? So this floating, there's no current is passing basically, right? In your transistor, when no current is passing, what will happen? It will be like unconnected, right? It's a high impedance state, their output. There is no connection between input and output. It's like open circuit, right? So what happens is high impedance. There's no current means what? P by A equal to R, right? It's high impedance, correct? Agreed or not? Basic your Ohm's law, right?
Yes, sir.
Right? It's high impedance. So that's called Z. That means no current is flowing, it is floating. Floating or open or undefined, not undefined. It's Z. Okay. Right, so yeah, it's still the select 1 becomes 0, 1, it becomes undefined. When it becomes 1, it takes the value of C. Whatever is in the C, it passes now, you see, right? It's like a gate. And if you pull down the cell 0, now the value will remain the previous value. Right, so the previous value was Z, that's why it is written in Z here. X rather. X is undefined or the previous value. All understood, right?
Yes, sir.
Any questions, guys? Okay. So that's all about this latch. And reg and wire, I think I've been not answering. I think some of you asked, or you must be wondering what is reg and wire, right? Right. So I probably have one more slide, but just read this. Reg is what a procedural block assignment, always, or initial. I told you always or initial blocks are called procedural blocks, correct? Assign is not a, assign will not come inside, it will be outside, right? It's a concurrent statement, right? So whatever signals you generate in the always or initial block, whichever signals coming on the left hand side, LHS, right? Any signal coming on the left hand side, you must declare there's a reg. Okay, and don't confuse this with the D flip flop. Register is not D flip flop. The Verilog reg is not, doesn't mean it's a flip flop, right? The previous example you saw here, right? Or here rather. See a reg defined. So is there a flip flop here? Just because Z is defined as a reg? Is there a flip flop? No, it's a mux. So just because you call it as a reg, I don't know who defined it, but very confusing. They could have given some other name, right? Instead of why they could have sold some names they could have given. they gave reg. Guy is really I don't know why. What should I tell that guy, right? Who invented the keyword? Unfortunate, right? He didn't think through. He called it as a reg. He could have called it some other name, right? Some other resort word. But anyway, that's how it is. So, so any variable coming on this is a statement. See? So whatever. Guys, please mute. I'm talking. Guys, please mute. Because it goes in your YouTube recording also, right? Be disturbing for the viewers. That, right? Right. So whatever comes on the left side, you automatically define as a reg here, right? So that's a syntax. You have to do that way. Okay. So that is called reg, and wire is the one which is basically this y is a wire basically. Anything which is not inside the procedural block, and you use it on the left side. So here I am not defining y as a wire, so it's implicitly it is defined. So output y means that implicitly is defined as a wire, right? The tool will assume that. You don't have to, you can implicitly define also, or internally you generate some signals. Yes, Ishwar.
No. So if we remove this statement, then here z and output will also be implicitly taken as while.
Where refrain from there?
No, you said y is here.
Yeah.
So it is implicitly considered. So if you remove this, even that will be taken like that.
Yes, but it will give syntax error because you are using inside the procedural block. It will be taken as a wire if you don't define it. Right? But the tool will crib. You can try it on your example. It will give errors to you. It will not combine. You have to whatever it wants. Throw some warnings. Right. So reg means it is a signal type. It is used on the left hand side of the procedural block, either initial or always. So don't think reg is a flip flop. Okay. So it's extremely important. Right. And wire for signals not in the procedural blocks. Right. It's a very important concept, very basic concept. I've seen a lot of people do mistakes. And this is probably one of the basic questions you ask in an interview, typically, right? Because the guy typically knows what to talk about. Okay, this is another important concept. There are two statements called blocking statement and non-blocking statement. So I have used it, but I have not told you what it is. I'm going to tell now, right? What is a blocking statement? And blocking statement is called equal. It's the easiest thing, right? If you find an equal operator, or not in the expression, not in the if statement. If statement comes in this expression, but in the left side, right side equation kind of thing, it comes inside a procedural statement. And blocking statement, non-blocking statements are only the procedural statement. Initial block and always block, right? The assigned statements all is not a. Okay? So you have to use the equal operator. That means there's a blocking. And blocking statements. 1 second, help me use a pointer. So blocking statements are executed in the order they are specified in the sequential block. So it can be used in the sequential block. What is sequential block? Initial, always. Right? And they can, and whatever order you write, it's going to be executed the same order, one by one, one by one, one by one. Right? The blocking assignment will not block execution of the statements that follow the parallel block. Right? So it's going to be. I think there is some issue. What it will not block, it will block. I think I'm confused. Yeah, blocking is one after the I think I'm not understanding it correctly. I don't know what I wrote. Well, basically, right? Yeah, I have more detailed example to show. So without blocking, all the procedural block they are executed, and it's called by less than equal to, right? And this is an incorrect example, and this will not work. So I'll show you why. Let's spend some time here. Right? I'm going to show this example is a very bad example, right? See, I showed good things. I show you bad things. What you cannot do also should tell, right? Like you tell kids don't touch the fire, the kid will go and touch the fire definitely, right? And then he'll come and cry, right? So I should tell what you should do, why you should not do also. Like let's say why we cannot do this, let's say. Okay. Let's spend some time on this. So I'll not talk about, all these things. So see here. I think Ishwar, this is your code, I suppose, right? Yeah, right. I thought Ishwar wrote this code and I learned a valuable lesson from that. Okay, anyway. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, cell 1 equal to 0. You see any, is there any problem? Huh?
This is mine.
Yeah, he should did a mistake. I told him I'll go to show, right? Not to demean him, but it's a good example. So let's see what is the issue here. Cell 1 equal to 0, A goes to Z1, or otherwise B goes to Z1, right? If cell 1 equal to 0, C goes to Z2 and D goes to Z2. If cell 2 equal to 0, right? Z1 goes to Z and Z2. So do you see any issue with this code? Or what does it specify? What is this logic? What is this logic?
Nonsense logic.
No, it's not nonsense. It's sense. This is 1 marks. This is 1 marks. This box is after that, right? So this is like a 2-stage marks. You have 1 marks, 1 marks here. This 1 marks, another marks. The output of the both axes go to another marks. Understand? Should I draw the diagram? Draw. Right? This is what 4 to 1 marks using 2 to 1 marks, right? Correct? This is what we are doing. And it seems to be correct, perfect, but it's not going to work. So why it will not work? Why it will not work?
Is it because all of them are running at the same time?
Yes, very good. Can you explain it more, Yogesh?
Because it's not a blocking statement, so all those if statements will run together, and if the big mux which takes the output from the 2 other mux would get irrelevant data basically.
Yeah. So you'll get a stale data when it executes this, right? You'll not get the A or B, but you'll have the previous value basically, right?
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. You get a stale data. So probably we'll see that. Let me quickly run it. Okay, let's see. What is the code like? I forgot the code. You should do A00 means you should get. I don't know what it is. Write the code correctly. I think you should keep both the windows together for to see, right? You do that, both the windows together. You do it. Side. You not see. I think you need to see both. So let's see 0, 0. What happens? Cell 1, 0, cell 2, 0. So A should come to the right. A should come to the output. Let's see what comes. 0, 0 conditions. Yeah, see A doesn't come to the output, right? See A is cell 1 is 0, cell 2 is 0 here. Right, Z2 is 0. Okay, Z2 is 0 only here, right? What should be 0? What is the final output? Z. Here Z is 0. Okay, it works. And cell 1 goes 1. You should get the A value, you should get the B value, right? Cell 1 goes to 1. You should get the value of B in the output, right? Cell 1 is 1. You should get the value of B in the output, right? You're not getting like that here. See here, right? When cell 1 goes to 1, what is the, I'm forgetting the code. Z you have to look at, right? B value should come, but only A value is coming, right? See, that's an issue. So this doesn't work, right? So this is incorrect way of doing the coding, right? I'm going to show you example. What you should do? Should use a blocking statements here, right? So that's a thumb rule. I will give you upfront as a secret. Go to mute the person who is talking so loudly. Anyway, so I think, sorry, man, I got distracted. Anyway, right, so that's not going to work. So we'll see why it doesn't work, right? Where is my mouse? Okay, so this is not going to work, right? So you should use always blocking statements inside a procedural block. If you're writing, you want to generate a combinational logic, If you have to write a combinational logic, it uses a blocking statement. If you want to write a sequential logic, use a non-blocking statement. Don't ask me, you just have to use that way. That's the rule. Why? If you ask me, because that's what will happen. It will not work. Right? So you want to design a combinational logic. I have slides for that. I'll show it to you. So you have to use a blocking statement, right? So because the blocking statement. A correct example. Let's see. Same way how it is coded. What happened? Wrong. This is not correct, right? Something happened. I think something is overwritten here, man. Not correct. I think it should all be like this way. And this is the right example to code a combination logic. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Why it doesn't work? Get signals. Yeah, I don't know to time to analyze, but I think probably this is the right behavior. Right, you can analyze that later, man. So let me move forward. Okay. So blocking statements, you use it for combination logic. Non-blocking statement used for sequential logic. I don't know how you'll remember, you have to remember. Just program your brain. Non-blocking, sequential. Blocking, combinational. Okay? Or at least remember equal. Combination is equal. Non-sequential is less than equal. Just remember that way, right? And try and remember that to non-blocking and blocking. So you have to make a table and remember that. So I think you practice that few times, probably you will know. Okay, see here, the same thing is you're saying, right? So continuous assignments called assign. So this is how you write a combination logic, right? What is this? This is adder, right? B out plus 1 equal to carry in. And see this with the blocking statements. Out is 2 down to equal 0. If in 1 equal to 1, what is this? This is a mux, right? This kind of mux. So this is a combination logic using a blocking statement here, correct? Every variable should have a default value to avoid. Yeah, so out is what is the default value? There is nothing. So you'll look for a latch here. There's no else defined here, right? So you'll get a latch. So do not assign the same variable for more than one always block. You'll define semantics. So you cannot, instead of always block, you're using this. You don't write another always block and generate out from the same always block. I think you did that also, right? You cannot write two always block and drive out from both the places. So you get a Z. I think I told multiple drivers. I'll talk in one of the class, right? You understand what does it mean? Let me go to the example. Right? So what will happen if you do like this? I'm not saving it. It works fine, man. I expected I think it didn't work properly. Let's run it again. Maybe I should save it. I think this is not the right way to do. Right? You're defining in two always block. Right? This is not no, it should not work. It has multiple drivers. Right? Maybe I didn't save or whatever. Right? Let me save it. Maybe I can delete it again. This is not correct, but I think you should get a Z there. No, I think there's something wrong with the simulator. I don't know what is happening. Anyway, I'll remove this, right? So you cannot code like this. This is not acceptable. Okay. So don't assign from more than one value. It's irrelevant semantics. All right. So sequential logic, use this non-blocking operator. It's an example. So typically use only positive edge triggered flip-flop for the states. Don't use negative edge only if it is needed. Always positive edge. Do not assign same variable for more than one always block. Say like the same time, right? Don't do that. Do not mix blocking and non-blocking assignments. For example, in one always block, you always use one particular, either use for sequential or non-sequential. Don't combine everything like AVL or masala. Don't do that. Keep it separate, right? Only the leaf module should have functionality. I think I'll talk about this later. Yeah, this like now how to write a good logic. So leaf module, like somebody bottom level blocks, when you do the hierarchy, I'll show you, right? So then the higher level blocks only have the instantiation connectivity. The lower level blocks will have all the proper variables and everything. I think I need to stop 8:5. So can I stop here, guys? I think we are out of time. Can we stop and we'll continue on Thursday?
Okay, sir.
Yeah, let's stop here.
Okay.
And yeah, there's no homework today. Just finish what are the previous things are there. Probably I'll not give any homework for this week. I think you have enough pending. So try and complete, and yeah, then we'll catch up. Start preparing for your seminar. Right, you have 20 days to go on. You need help. Yes. Question?
No.
Okay. Yeah. So
you're talking about the construct, right, and the realization, right? So one thing I want to point out is like in the language.
Yeah, go ahead.
A reference manual. That manual is released by the IEEE.
Yeah, Saravanan, that's very difficult to follow to the people. Like, let's not bring language reference manual. Yeah, it's very hard to learn from that. That's not for learning anyway, right? It's only for reference.
At least for a few examples, one or two examples. See, like, but I think with one example, why the non-blocking areas of blocking is sequential logic. Maybe one or two examples should, because that is the manual. We may not need the use. That's one additional information that we can know. Maybe just this point. Just want to point it out.
Yeah. For information, yeah, you can know. There's a language reference manual. Yeah, maybe the next class I can flash it, but it's hard to learn. So don't get frightened by looking at that, right? So that is for advanced people. So that's why I don't want to confuse. You're all the third year or even younger than that, right? So don't get worried by language reference manual. There's just a syntax and semantics. So it's like for English you want to learn. How do you learn? There's a book called. You're going to ask your dad. Something called Wren and Martin. They will say. You will not know. Previous generations will know. So you want to learn grammar, you should learn that book. Pick up that book and learn. I don't know, even I've not read. I've heard the name. My father used to say that. Maybe I have a copy of the book at home, right? But you should always learn anything formal way of learning. That's what you should do. But you can never learn English by reading that book, right? Just for reference. So like that. For Verilog, you want to refer for something, you can always use the language reference. It's called reference manual, right? Okay. Let's stop here. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, bye-bye.